the electric dipole and thin linear antennas. So you can write down electric dipoles and thin linear antenna. Electric dipole and thin linear antenna. So here we are going to discuss about electric dipoles and thin linear antennas. So this part of this module carries around 2-3 derivations where you will be studying the radiation resistance of the antenna and all those things. So we will discuss those things further. So you can just make a note of it, the electric dipoles and thin linear antenna. So here we'll be discussing the electric dipoles and thin linear antennas, and it is extended to the array of dipoles. So and the apertures, and we have also seen that far field, near field, we have also classified in module 3. We have discussed about the near field and far field. We have talked about Fresnel Fraunhofer zones. We have classified how how you can call it as a near field and how you can call it as a far field. So all those things we have seen when the antenna, you have seen the antenna radiation pattern, all those things we are going to, it is going to be used here, and whatever equations we have discussed before, we'll be implementing those things further. So the far or radiation pattern, radiation field pattern, the driving point impedance of the array gains and derived in that order for several different arrays in the dipole. So we are going to see that how this short dipoles are going to get the electric field pattern and all those things. So here in this we are going to see first that what do you mean by short electric dipole. Can just note down these things. We'll see that what is short electric dipole. So we are going to see what is short electric dipole. The short linear conductor is called as the short electric dipole. So a short, from the name itself, it is very much clear. Short linear conductor is called as a short dipole, and the short dipole is always of finite length, even though it may be very short. Okay. If the dipole is vanishingly short, so you have to see that what do you mean by very short and vanishingly short means you're going to have a very small thing, that is then you call it as vanishingly short or very short. So okay, so the dipole is vanishingly short. It is an infinitesimal dipole, and this we can see with the help of figure. Okay, where the length is L. So this I have drawn here. So this is called as a short dipole, where you have the finite length, even though it may be very short, you will have a very small length, and the dipole is vanishingly short, means length is too low, then you can call it as infinitesimal dipole. This is where the length L is very small compared to the wavelength. So we'll be comparing it with the wavelength lambda. So this condition is very important, that is L is less than lambda. So if you come across this condition where the length of the antenna, so you can see that this is the antenna. So you have this is the antenna being placed, and this is the length L. And if you see that the length L is very much less compared to that of lambda, you call it as a short antenna, short dipole. And you have the end plates provides loading of little efforts in the pattern, and you have it, this is the transmission line, and this is D. D is that small thickness what it is having there, and I is the current which flows through the flows through here, and L is the length of the antenna. But here what is major thing what you have to understand here is we are calling it as a short electric dipole. So when you have to make sure that lambda, the wavelength, has to be greater than, too much greater than that of the length of the antenna. So that is, then we call it as the antenna is called as a short electric dipole, or you can call it as very short, and or it can be vanishingly short, then it is called as infinitesimal dipole, and it's all depends on the length L in comparison with the wavelength lambda. So you can just note down these things. So we will be assuming the current is assumed to be uniform throughout the length. So the entire current is assumed to be uniform throughout the length, and the diameter is D, as I have mentioned you. D of the dipole is small compared to its length. So that is also one more condition. You can say D should be less than L. So first condition is for the electric dipole to be called as a short linear thing. That is, for that you have to make sure that first you have to find out the lambda, your L, that is the distance between the means the length of the antenna. So that length of the antenna has to be very much less compared to that of lambda. That is the first condition. And the second condition is with respect to the diameter D. So diameter D should be very much less compared to the length. Okay, so these two conditions has to be satisfied, then you call it as a short electric dipole. So that is what you can see here, and this is the figure for that. And L is the this is the short dipole antenna, and its equivalent circuit where you have the at the both ends you have plus Q and minus Q, and this is the I current is flowing through that. L is the length of the antenna, and the current and charge are related as dq by dt is equal to I. We know this equation for I, dq by dt is equal to I. Short electric dipole, some few conditions are there which you have to understand. So this derivations, everything whatever we are going to see here, it will be on short electric dipole and its radiation resistance and all those things. So in order to understand that the short linear conductor or the short dipole, it is you can say that it is vanishingly short when the when the length or the thickness of the conductor is going to be very less. Okay, so we can say that it is very short or vanishingly short when we are going to relate the length of the antenna with respect to the lambda, that is wavelength. So we have to see that the lambda has to be very much greater than that of L, or you can say that L is less than lambda. So this is what you find here, L less than lambda for a short dipole. Okay, so short electric dipole, you have to keep this condition L less than lambda. And another condition what you have to see is with respect to the diameter. So when you talk about the diameter, you have to say that diameter D of the dipole is small, and D should be also less than L. So when you compare L with lambda, you can say that the length of the antenna has to be very much less compared to lambda, as well as when you see about d, that is the diameter also has to be 2 less compared to that of lambda. So and indirectly with respect to L as well. So this is what we discussed about short electric dipoles in the previous class, and then we have also seen that there are this is the antenna of length L and the current flowing through the antenna, and you have a D parameter here, that is the diameter. So diameter has to be very much less compared to the length of the antenna, and the length of the antenna should be very much less compared to the wavelength. So that is how the short dipole antenna has to be defined, and you can see the equivalent circuit here, plus Q and minus Q charge separated by a length of L, and the current and charge are related by the equation dq by dt is equal to I. So this is what we discussed in the previous. So the fields of a short dipole. So we are going to see here the fields of a short dipole. So you are going to see the electric field and magnetic field. So fields of a short dipole. So here we already understood that what do you mean by short dipole. So the main conditions what you have to classify the dipole to be short is with respect to L, and which has to be less compared to lambda, and we have to also see that diameter has to be less compared to that of L. You can also find that the equation dq by dt is equal to I. So let the dipole of length VL, L placed and on the z axis, with the z axis with its center at the origin. So we are going to draw one figure for this to understand that. So we are going to keep the dipole L at the center point, and with the z axis. Okay. And you can see that in the figure. I will just show you. We'll get back to that figure again. So you can see that I have kept the antenna length L. So this is my antenna, which is having a length L, which is kept at the center. In that, and this is the Z direction. This is Y and X direction. So we can understand that how to go ahead with this. So when you take this length L of the dipole, which is when you are considering the dipole of length L and you are considering that it is placed at the center at the origin, as I have shown you in the figure. So the electric field components will be, the field components will be E R, E theta and E phi, and the magnetic components will be of HR, H theta and H5 for the short dipole. So you are having the field components in R, theta and phi. So we have electric field components as ER, E theta, E phi, and magnetic field components are HR, H theta and H phi. So it is assumed that the medium is surrounded by surrounding the dipole is air or vacuum. So this is what we will consider, that the field means the medium surrounding the dipole will be either air or vacuum. So when you consider the fields of a short dipole, what you can understand this, to for the simplification and to write the equations how they are for each field in the with respect to magnetic field or with respect to electric field. So the electric and magnetic field components we have understood. Now we have to draw that figure, and we'll be just moving ahead with uh, how these parameters can be found, that is ER, E theta and E phi. So I think you might have completed this. So we will just go ahead. So we can plot this in the form of a figure. We will just see that. So you can draw the X, Y and Z directions. Then you can put the antenna to be placed at the center, and you can see that how the fields can be represented. So here this is Z direction, Y direction and X direction, and you are placing the antenna at the center of this, and you can say that the length is L for the antenna, and this direction of angle is phi, and you can see that this direction of angle is theta. So we have the field components, electric field components, E theta, E phi and ER as well. So that's what we can just represent this, and here we are directly going to go with the equations for current, and we are going to substitute these equations in order to find the equations for all the three components, field components. So ER, E theta and E phi. You can make a note of this figure. Place the antenna at the center. You're able to see the figure, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Draw that figure. So we will look into further the representations of current, and then we will move on with the representations of the field components ER, E theta and E phi. So when we can see that the current flows through this, that is I, as we have discussed in the previous topic as well, and the length of the antenna is taken as L, and that diameter, that is taken as D, and we are discussing about the short dipole. Short dipole indicates that your length has to be very much small compared to that of lambda, as well as your distance diameter D has to be very less compared to that of L. So considering all these things, we have told that it is a short dipole, and we are going to see that how the representations of current and the field components can be represented. So we can write the equation for current, that is I. I can be written as I naught e to the power of j omega t, and the retarded current. So retarded current is denoted as I. You can put it in square brackets. I is equal to I naught e to the power of j omega into t minus r by c. So the retarded current can be given as I is equal to I naught t to the power of j omega t minus r by c. So we are going to write the general case for this, and we are going to specify the equations for ER, E phi and D theta. So, first, so these are direct. We have written the equations. We have written the equations for ER, E theta and E phi. You have completed this figure. Have you completed the figure? Okay, so what is the current I? I is I naught e to the power of j omega t, and the retarded current is given as I in square bracket, that is I naught e to the power of j omega t minus r by c. So in general case, we can represent the field components, electric field components as ER, E theta and E phi, and the equation will be written in terms of retarded current, and it is given as I L cos theta divided by 2 pi epsilon naught into 1 by c r square plus 1 by j omega r cube. And for this, all these are all direct equations we are going to use. E theta can be written as I L sin theta divided by 4 pi epsilon naught j omega c square r plus 1 by c r square plus 1 by j omega r cube. And when you take E phi, you can say that E phi is equal to HR and it is equal to H theta, and all these components will be 0. So we get equations for ER and E theta, and E phi, HR and H theta components will be 0, and you have equation for H phi as well. So H phi is IL sin theta divided by 4 pi j omega by CR plus 1 by R square. So this is the general case for a short dipole, short electric dipole, and you are going to get the equations for ER, E theta and H phi. So we will also see how the equations comes when it is in the far field. When you are in the far field means you have seen that when you take an antenna, you can define it as a near field and far field, or Fresnel or Fraunhofer zones. So when you take an antenna being placed at a point, the fields which is close to that, you can say that it is a near field, and 2L square by lambda, you just get a boundary there, and beyond that the fields, if it is available, you call it as far field. So this is a general case where the equations are represented as ER, E theta and H phi, and the components E phi, HR and H theta will be equal to 0. So these components will be 0, and other three components will be available, that is we have defined here ER, E theta and H phi. So once you complete the general case, we will go with far field. In far field, we can say that all the components ER, E phi, HR and H theta, all these components will be 0. So we are left out with E theta and H phi. So we have to write the equation for E theta and H phi in the case of far field. So these are few equations we have to understand with respect to the fields of a short electric dipole. So you can make a note of all these equations in general case as well as in far field. So we will discuss how the equations will be represented when the antenna is placed in a bit far from the so when the fields are received at a certain distance, so you can say that you are in the far field. So at that far field point, when you are having the field, you can say that the electric field ER E phi will be 0 and the magnetic field HR H theta will be 0. So rest of the field components will be E theta and H phi. So we are going to see that how this E theta and H phi will be represented. So the E theta can be represented as these equations. You have to understand these equations. We'll be using it further for the rest of the derivations as well. So E theta is equal to, we get it as E theta is equal to I L j omega sine theta divided by 4 pi epsilon naught C r and C square r, and it can be also simplified further, and you can write it as j 60 pi I sine theta divided by r L by lambda. So E naught can be represented by using the equation j 60 pi I sine theta divided by r L by lambda. So this is what you're going to get for E theta when it is in the far field, and when you are having the H phi. So H phi can be represented as I L j omega sine theta divided by 4 pi CR, and it can also be represented as j I sine theta by 2r L by lambda. So these equations we will be using it for further derivations and all, where you will be substituting the equation for E theta and H phi for further simplification. So we got a few equations in terms of fields, that is electric field. We got ER and E theta for general case, and in magnetic field we got H phi, and other components E phi, HR and H theta was considered to be 0. But in the case of far field, we have ER, E phi, HR, H theta to be 0, and we have the two components, that is E theta and H phi. E theta is j 60 pi I sine theta divided by r into L by lambda, and H phi is equal to j I sine theta by 2r L by lambda. So we got E theta and H phi. So you can make a note of all this field components E theta H phi, and rest of the components are to be 0 in the case of far field. So when you go ahead with in the further classes, we'll be doing few derivations in order to find the radiation resistance and all those things. So we may be using all these equations there. So I'll be directly writing the equation for E theta, or if it is H phi is required, we'll be using the equation for H phi. If it is far field, we'll be using these equations, and we'll be simplifying those derivations further. So you need to understand this now, and you have to use this further. Okay. So you can make a note of all these things. So these are the fields for a short dipole, a short electric dipole, and you have to also remember that for far field, the components ER, E phi, HR, and H theta is to be taken as 0. And we have for the current, we have also defined the equation for current, that is redundant current is given as I naught e to the power of j omega t minus r by c. So once you have completed these things, we will understand few more things here, that is impedance of space. So it is quite a known factor, that is impedance of space can be taken as E theta divided by H pi, and it can also be represented as 1 by epsilon naught C, and it is root of mu naught by epsilon naught. The value is already found here, that is 376.7 ohm. So impedance of space can be found by using the value, means when we do the calculations you get it as 376.7 ohm. It's a standard value which we will be using it. So as I have mentioned before, we have understood that what are the field components with respect to electric and magnetic fields for the general case as well as for the far field. So once you complete this, we will move on to the radiation resistance of short dipole. So we are going to see now the radiation resistance of short dipole. So the radiation resistance can be calculated for a short dipole of the figure, the same figure. You can say that the length of the antenna is L and the current flowing through is I, and the charges are plus Q and minus Q. So we are going to see that what is the radiation resistance for this short electric dipole. So the radiation resistance can be calculated for a short dipole by considering, so the short dipole you have to always keep in your mind that the length what you are considering for the antenna should be comparatively less than that of the wavelength, and also the diameter of your antenna has to be very much less compared to the length, or you can say that compared to the wavelength. So considering that, we are now going to see the radiation resistance of short electric dipole. So the radiation resistance can be calculated for a short dipole. We can see that the current is considered and the charges are taken, and you have a length of L. So the Poynting vector for of the far field is integrated over the large. This can be found by taking the Poynting vector of the far field, integrating over a large space of to obtain the total power radiated. So we are going to find out uh, the Poynting vector of the far field is integrated over a large sphere. So what we are going to do is we are going to integrate the component, and we are going to see that the total power what is radiated can be obtained. So we will study further. You can make a note of these things, and we will go ahead further. So the total power radiated, how much power is getting radiated, can be found by integrating the Poynting vector of the far field over the entire sphere. For a large sphere, so you can get the total power radiated. So it's very important for us to understand how much power is radiated, and if you want to receive a signal at the receiver end, no, so some particular power has to be sent. If you are sending power, or the power which is sent from the transmitter is not strong enough, you will not be receiving the signals at the receiver end. So you have to make sure that you have to take the total power radiated, and this can be. So here we are going to see with equations. So the power then equated to I square R. So what you're going to see here, it's a derivation for you to understand. So where you have the power then equated to I square R. So where I is the RMS current and R is the resistance, called as the radiation resistance. So when you take the Poynting vector, average Poynting vector, you get it as S is equal to 1 by 2 real part of E cross H conjugate, and the far field components what we have just studied two components, that is E theta and H phi. So we know that E theta and H phi are the far field component. So the radial components of the Poynting vector can be rewritten by using, here I have written half of real part of E cross H conjugate. So it can, we know that the far field components are E theta and H phi. So the equation can be rewritten as SR is equal to 1 by 2 real part of E theta H phi conjugate. So only the components E theta and H phi is enough for us, because other components are to be 0. So just now we have studied those things in far field, ER, E phi, HR, H theta, all these components are 0. So we have seen that here. You're going to have ER, E phi, HR, H theta all to be 0. You are going to be left out with the two components E theta and H phi. So I am going to use, I am going to rewrite this equation. With the help of that, I can write it as SR is equal to, so the average Poynting vector can be 1 by 2 real part of E theta H phi conjugate. And E theta and H phi conjugate are complex in nature. So you can just note down these things. So we have written here the Poynting vector S, and we have converted with the help of far field components, except E theta and H phi, other all components in far field are to be 0. So we wrote the equation as SR is equal to 1 by 2 real part of E theta H phi conjugate, and the components E theta and H phi will be complex. H phi conjugate will be complex. So we also know that the power is can be written as I square R. So we are going to just find out all these things and then equate it to I square R, and I is the RMS current and R is the resistance. We called as the radiation resistance. So here in this topic we are going to see that the radiation resistance of a short dipole. So how to calculate the radiation resistance of a short dipole. So you can make a note of all these things. So once we understand this is an important one, where we are going to see the radiation resistance of a short dipole. Once we understand that SR is 1 by 2 real part of E theta H phi, and E theta and H phi conjugates are complex in nature, then the far field components are related by the intrinsic impedance. So we have to understand that the ratio, that is E theta divided by H phi, can be written as Z, or E theta can be written as H phi Z. So these things are quite known equations, that the field component and the magnetic, electric and magnetic fields can be related, like E theta is equal to H phi Z, and Z is called as the intrinsic impedance, and you can write it as H phi root of mu by epsilon. So these things we have come across in module 3 in the beginning, where we have written E theta and H phi relationship. E theta is equal to H phi Z, and Z is called as the intrinsic impedance. This is magnetic, electric and magnetic fields in the theta and phi direction. So we get T theta is equal to H phi Z, and you convert it further, you can also write it as H phi root of mu by epsilon. So you got E theta is equal to H phi root of mu by epsilon. So what was the first equation here? SR is equal to 1 by 2 real part of E theta H phi conjugate. You got E theta is equal to H phi root of mu by epsilon, or you can write H phi Z. So let me just substitute this here. I am going to substitute this E theta here. So let me substitute E theta here. So what I am going to get is SR is equal to 1 by 2 real part of Z H phi conjugate. So this can also be written as H phi conjugate can be written as H phi square. So what you'll get is SR will be equal to 1 by 2 H phi square real part of Z. So it's not that complicated to understand. Here we got the component E and H phi relationship. E theta is H phi Z, and so that can be used in substitution here. And SR can be written as 1 by 2 real part of Z H phi conjugate. H phi into H phi conjugate is H phi square, and you get it as half of H phi square real part of Z. So what is SR? SR is 1 by 2 modulus of H phi square. I have substituted Z there. Z is mu by epsilon. So it can be written as 1 by 2 H phi square root of mu by epsilon. So you can make a note of all these equations, and then now here we got the equation for SR is 1 by 2 H phi mod H phi square root of mu by epsilon. So what is the total power radiated? So we have to find out the total power P radiated. So we have also seen that the power radiated is the integral of SRDS. So this is power theorem. We know that by using the power theorem, P is equal to integral of SRDS. So the total power radiated. So the power radiated can be found by using the equation P is equal to integral of SRDS. Let me just substitute whatever it's there with us. So we have the component SR is equal to 1 by 2 H phi square root of mu by epsilon. So I am going to substitute that. So where I can just take out this constant term outside, 1 by 2 root of mu by epsilon. So you know that integration has to be done for the limit 0 to 2 pi and 0 to pi. So phi ranges from 0 to 2 pi and theta ranges from 0 to pi. I have substituted SR here. SR is H phi square will be left out, and ds. So we already studied that ds can be written as ds is equal to r square sine theta d phi. So these equations we have already studied in the previous classes. So we can just substitute ds. If you don't know, you can just make a note of it. ds is equal to r square sine theta d ds d theta d phi, and when you substitute for ds here and substitute for SR, all those things, you get the integration to be done for integral of 0 to 2 pi, 0 to pi, h phi square r square sine theta d phi. So now you have to do the integration for this in order to find the total power radiated. Is that clear till here? Is that clear for all of you till here?
Yes, sir.
Now, yeah, okay. Now you can do the integration for this component for the limit 0 to 2 pi and 0 to pi. So before doing the integration, just if you go back to the previous derivation, we have already written the equation for H phi for the far field. So I can just take you to that. We have written the equation for H phi. So this is the equation for H phi for the far field. So I told you, this equation has to be used again. So we are going to use that equation here. That H phi is the absolute value of magnetic field, and we are going to use that equation here, that is H phi is equal to omega I naught L sine theta divided by 4 pi CR. So this I am going to substitute here. So I am going to convert this equation. So first I need to write the equation for H phi, which we have studied in the previous class. Substitute H phi in this equation. So you can rewrite the equation in this form. P is equal to 1 by 2 root of mu by epsilon taken outside, 0 to 2 pi, 0 to pi. The component of H phi, what is that? Omega I naught L sine theta divided by 4 pi CR. So that is square. So we have taken omega I naught L sine theta by 4 pi CR whole square R sine theta d theta d phi. This is what you are going to get it. So this is what you're going to get now for power. We have not done the integration yet. We need to do that to simplify it. So what are the common terms available? Let us take it outside. You can see that 1 by 32 root of mu by epsilon it will come, because it is 4. So all these components are there. 4 square it will be 16, and 16 into 2 you will get 32. So 1 by 32 root of mu by epsilon. What are the components available? Beta square I naught beta square I naught square L square divided by pi square. So rest of the components is sine square will be there, sine will be there. So sine cube theta d phi it will come to be integrated from 0 to 2 pi, 0 to pi. So omega by CR is taken as beta. Omega by C is taken as beta. So what you can get here, omega by C. So you can see here omega by C is there, that is taken as beta, and that is 2 pi f by C. So that's the reason I have written beta here. Or you can take the same terms outside and then convert it as beta. Anything is fine. So you have r square here and r square here. So those r square will get cancelled, and beta will be omega by c. So you can just get it in this form. So when you get beta is equal to omega by c, you will get 2 pi f by c, and sine cube theta can be written as 3 sine theta minus sine 3 theta divided by 4. You know the integration for that. You need to do the integration for that. You will get it as 8 pi by 3. So when you do the integration for sine cube theta d phi, you will get 8 pi by 3 for the limit 0 to 2 pi and 0 to pi. We have done this before for sine theta, sine cube theta so many times. So you will get it as 8 pi by 3. So we can substitute all these things whatever is there with us and write the equation for power. So power can be written as P is equal to root of mu by epsilon beta square I naught square L square divided by 12 pi. So this is what you are going to get. So further still we have to do few more things. So we will wind up for today by considering this equation for power. You can just go through these equations and you can substitute, integrate for sine cube theta and substitute for beta as omega by c. All these things, when you do it, you get the equation in terms of root of mu by epsilon beta square I naught square L square divided by 12 pi. So with this, I will stop it here for today. You can make a note of all those things. Okay. Thank you.